Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the January 23rd, 2003 Board of Adjustment meeting. My name is Michael Carson. I'll be the acting chairperson of the Board of Adjustment this evening. The Board of Adjustment is an impartial body made up of residents of the town of Prescott Valley who volunteer their time and efforts and are guided by state and local rules and regulations. This evening's proceedings will be conducted using the following format. First, I will read the item into the record. Following the identification of the hearing item, staff will present the case and their recommendations to the board, after which questions from the Board of Adjustment will be directed to staff regarding the case. It is at this point that I will open the floor to general comments from the public regarding the case before the board. I ask that you direct your pertinent comments to the board through the chairperson and not to staff nor individuals within the audience. I would also appreciate your cooperation in making your statements brief and to the point, as I may exercise the prerogative to confine public comment if need be, should there be considerable public involvement in the case. There are 3 action items this evening. Use permit UP 22-006, use permit UP 22-007, and the election of officers. I would like to note for the record any and all town employees who are present: Ernest Ruby, Development Services Director; Pat Ruiz, Code Enforcement Supervisor; Jessica Berrigan, Planner; and Carmela David, Administrative Support. Clerk, please call the roll.
Member Carson.
Here.
Member Kunish.
Here.
Member Schmidt.
Here.
Applicants in the audience, we do not have a full board present tonight. Pursuant to Article 13-29-060, you have the right to request that your item be deferred to a future meeting when a full 5-member board is present. A board approval or denial requires a majority vote. The motion will not pass if there are less than a majority of affirmative votes. Please make this request known before we hear your application. Do any of the applicants wish to postpone this evening? Hearing none, we will proceed. Also, for the record, I just recognize Fernando Gonzalez. He is here. If the board has reviewed the minutes from the December 19, 2002 meeting, I ask if there are any corrections to the minutes at this time. Hearing none, I will accept a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I move to approve the meeting minutes from December 19th, 2022 as written.
I will second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded. Clerk, please call the roll call.
Member Schmidt.
Yes.
Member Kunish.
Yes.
Acting Chairperson Carson.
Yes. Are there any announcements from staff or board members? Hearing none, we will proceed into the action items. The first item up this evening is UP 22006. Upon application of Kate Bentley, applicant, a request for a use permit per section 13-14-020.c.14 of the Town of Prescott Valley's ordinance to operate a tattoo studio. Subject property is located at 8098 East Valley Road, Suite 5, APN number 10C103-22-043 Alpha. Ms. Berrigan?
Good evening, Chair and members of the board. Before you today is a request for a conditional use permit to allow a tattoo studio in a C2 zone. The C2 zone now allows tattoo studios, and therefore we request that you move to approve.
I'll open the item to questions or comments from the board or staff. Any questions or comments?
I did have a question. You do have two conditions related to the approval of this.
Well, there's two different tattoo shops, and they're both going into the C2 zone. They're pretty much exactly the same.
And you were asking for the duration of use permit to be limited to 2 years, subject to renewal,
Yes,
and that any building permits required shall be obtained prior to any changes or alterations to the suite.
yes. If they do any tenant improvements, they'll have to come in and get a permit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to invite the applicant to address the board.
Mr. Cade Bentley.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. Stand over here, maybe. That'd be better. I won't be here.
Right there.
Hello. Thanks for having me tonight. I appreciate it. Do you have any questions for me, or? It'll be a private tattoo studio. I'll be the only one operating there. The hours of operation are from Wednesday until Sunday. I operate from 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. There will be no walk-in volume. I've tattooed for almost 9 years, so I have a pretty established clientele in the Prescott area. And really, it's kind of a space to cultivate a little bit more of a comforting environment to where it can be. I do a lot of large-scale pieces. I want to be able to have a space that caters to that a little bit more. I worked in a multitude of tattoo shops that are, we have 4 or 5 artists working at them, and I want to be able to have a space that it's a little bit more calming, a little bit more private, and that I can kind of be my best self. I've tattooed for quite a while, and I'm learning now that it's more about people is just as much as it is about like technical ability, and to open a private studio will kind of help me cultivate that as well. Rather than just making good marks on people's skin, I want to make good marks on the experience they have as well.
Do you anticipate growing where you'll eventually have another artist working with you, or do you foresee it being something that will be your own endeavor?
I do not plan on having an expansion for the future. I've worked in private studios in the past and also worked in studios where we had up to 8 artists, and I feel that I operate the best under a private studio umbrella.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, for sure.
Thank you very much.
That's everything? Okay.
At this point, I'd like to open up the item for the public comment. Hearing none, we'll return the item to the board for discussion. Any other additional questions or comments?
Not for me.
Not for me.
If there are no further questions or comments, I will accept the motion for approval of this application.
I move for approval of use permit UP 22-006 with the following conditions, as recommended by staff, that the duration of use permit be limited to 2 years and subject to renewal at that time, and that any building permits required shall be obtained prior to any changes or alterations to the suite.
I would second that motion.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Member Shimmin,
Yes.
Member Kulish,
Yes.
Acting Chairperson Carson.
Yes. The application is approved. The second item this evening is UP 22-007. Upon application of Movia Henriksen, applicant, a request for use permit for section 13-14-020.C-14 of the Town of Prescott Valley zoning ordinance to operate a tattoo studio. Subject property is located at 8168 East Florentine Road, Suite C, APN number 103-22-067B. Ms. Berry.
Thank you, board members. The application is relatively the same. It is Soul Tattoo, and they are going to be opening a tattoo studio, and under the same code section 1314-020, it is allowed, the use is allowed with the use permit. So with that being said, the applicants are here if you have any questions, and we request that you move to approve.
And this would be under the same conditions as
Yes.
the previous application.
Yes.
I'll open the item to questions or comments from the board.
I have no questions.
I have no questions as well.
Very good. Hearing none, we'll invite the applicant to address the board.
Hi. My name is Mavia Henriksen. I've worked in this industry for about 3 years. It will be me and 2 other artists, and just from working in this industry, I'm ready to create my own little tattoo community where people feel safe and comfortable in a good environment, where we leave permanent ink on their skin, and it also leaves a permanent journey so that we can boost their ego. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say.
That pretty well covers it. Thank you. I'll open the item for any public comment. Hearing none, we'll return the item to the board for discussion. Any further discussion or questions?
I don't have any additional questions or comments.
I have neither questions nor comments.
Okay, with no further questions or comments from the board, I will accept the motion to approve.
I move to approve use permit UP 22-007 with the following conditions: that the duration of the use permit be limited to 2 years and subject to renewal at that time. Additionally, any building permits required shall be obtained prior to any changes or alterations to the suite.
Very good. Do we have a second?
I will second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded that the application be approved. Clerk, please call the roll.
Member Shimmin,
Yes?
Member Kunish,
Yes.
Acting Chairperson Carson.
Yes. The application is approved. The third item on the agenda tonight is the election of officers. I will now ask for nominations for chairperson and vice chairperson, followed by a vote that can be conducted either by a voice vote or written confidential ballot. The board will need to decide on which method of voting they would prefer prior to nominations.
I would suggest a voice vote.
I agree.
As do I.
I would nominate Board Member Carson as chair. I would nominate Board Member Kunish as vice chair. I don't believe we need a second for nominations.
I agree.
I think that's fine. Since we're handling both elections, both the election of chairman and vice chairperson at the same time, I'm fine with that as well. Clerk, would you please call the roll for the voice vote?
So for chairperson first and then vice chairperson?
You can do it both at the same time if you'd like.
Okay. Member Shimmin,
Yes?
Member Kunish,
Yes.
Acting Chairperson Carson.
Yes. At this point in the proceedings, we have a call to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board at this time on any items not on the agenda? Hearing none, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
I will move to adjourn.
I will second that motion.
All in favor by aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.